Okay, so I'm going to read this post. I did a post today about authoritative parenting and the difference between discipline and punishment. And I know that for some people it's easier to watch me and listen to it than it is to read it. So I'm going to try it this way and see what you guys think. Okay. I recall as a teenager committing some infraction and being punished with a grounding and some type of lost privileges. My grounding may or may not have had something to do with a boy. The details are fuzzy, but I do remember this incident and I remember being grounded. Grounding worked on me because I wasn't the type of kid to sneak out or fight back. I discussed my loss of privileges with my grandmother, and her response surprised me, and this still stands out in my mind. She said, "I wish your parents understood the difference between discipline and punishment." That moment between my grandmother and I, it's something I still think about literally probably every day with my own son. Um, because of my ADHD and a lack of an associated lack of motivation and impulsivity, I got in trouble a lot as a teenager. I never quite lived up to the expectations for me. I just didn't understand that it was because of my ADHD that I was getting in trouble, and I was really in denial at that phase of my life about the diagnosis, even though I'd had it or had the diagnosis since I was 12. I was completely in denial. So now that I'm a parent, I think about every single day, so what is the difference between discipline and punishment? And because I am me, I had to go out and sort of research it. I found this article by Michael Dyson in the New York Times. It was written right after the whole Adrian Peterson scandal happened. I think Adrian Peterson might have used a switch or something on his son, and it blew up and it became this big thing. And basically in this article, Dyson explains that discipline and punishment are really, really different things, and a lot of people get them confused. There are actually socioeconomic and cultural and ethnic reasons for the way we all parent, and that's really fascinating to me. The word discipline comes from the Latin word discipuli. I don't know Latin, meaning student or disciple, and this suggests a teacher-pupil relationship, which is like parenting. It's a teacher-pupil relationship in a lot of ways. Punishment, on the other hand, comes from the Greek word poine, a Latin derivative of poena, which means revenge, and it forms the words pain and penalty. And I have the source link on the website, adoseofhealthydistraction.com, if you want to see where my sources are coming from. I have zero desire to punish my child. He does inflict a lot of mental pain on me every single day, but that's parenting, I think. I'm kind of joking. In my unending quest to become a better parent, I have read the original book, Parenting with Love and Logic, probably 10 times. And it's still my number one go-to. I have a link to that too on the website if you need to see what that is, Parenting with Love and Logic. I don't always practice what the book preaches, but I still refer to it every single time I'm having a bad parenting moment or week. Authoritative parenting, which is basically love and logic, is all of a sudden getting a little street cred, I think, and I've been able to find some more information on it. There is a researcher named Diana Baumrind. There's a lot of information out there, and I have a link to her also. But basically, there are 4 styles of parenting. There is authoritarian parenting, authoritative parenting, permissive and neglectful parenting. Permissive and neglectful kind of speak for themselves, and I don't really want to go into that. There are a ton of cultural, socioeconomic, educational, and a lot of stuff that goes into that, and I just can't address that right here. But an authoritarian parent, quote, believes that children are strong-willed and self-indulgent. They value obedience. Authoritarians view their job as bending the will of the child to keep him in his place. And sometimes they favor punitive or forceful measures. In some ways, I was raised in an authoritarian house. I can't say that my mother was deliberately authoritarian, but I think because she was a single mom, I think she leaned toward the louder the better, trying to make a point, and that worked for me. It didn't work for my brother as well, but it worked for me. There you have it. Authoritative parenting, which is what really I think most of us really strive to be, is more about issue orientation, and it's pragmatic. We believe we need a balance between the needs of the child and the right to respect and his right to respect. I'm sorry, the needs of the child and their right to respect. Their goal is to teach children to value the same things that they do with strict standards for conduct and some verbal give and take, a lot of conversational stuff. This is all pretty correct. I mean, I would love to raise my child in an environment where we can discuss everything. So I would rather be authoritative than authoritarian, and I think probably you would too. So this is the bottom line. Authoritarian parents, their children don't always have good outcomes. Sometimes they grow up with a lot of anxiety, depression, low self-esteem. They tend to not, as adults, they don't produce as well, and they don't tend to function as well interpersonally. On the other hand, authoritative parents, their children tend to be the most psychologically well-adjusted. As a parent with ADHD, I worry that my lack of consistency sometimes, my short attention span, sometimes I can't stick to my goals for the day. I worry about that and how it affects my son and my ability to be the kind of parent I want to be. So these are my bits of advice. Set limits. Set limits so that your child can grow into limits and they learn to set their own limits. If you need to limit TV time, do it. I have to do it. I also limit how much verbal abuse I'll tolerate. When my son's having a meltdown, he needs to be away from me. And that's the way it is. Be firm but kind. I hate saying no, especially when he's crying. I don't know any parent that doesn't. Think about it, like learn to say no, and that temporary like sadness or whatever, it goes away, and I think it's more important that they get something out of it. Practice reflective listening. If you don't understand reflective listening, see my post on the explosive child. For me, it involves listening more than I speak, trying to reflect back. If I'm understanding correctly, you're saying this. You're frustrated because you want to eat a hot dog and I don't have any hot dogs. Reflective listening. Model the behavior you want to see. This is a huge one, and I try this. My husband and I work toward this every single day. I try to model the behavior that I want to see from my son. It's hard. It's not easy. We're human. Our children are human. And yeah, it's just not easy. Keep it real. That's number 5. Keep it real. I try to be consistent. I try to plan ahead. I don't always do a good job. I tell my son when I make mistakes, and I think he gets it. In fact, he points them out to me sometimes. So this is the bottom line from me. This is my quote, and I put this in here. Set high expectations for yourself and for your children. Make your home a safe place where no topic's off limits. Answer the tough questions instead of avoiding them. And above all else, make sure you laugh together as a family. Leave comments. Leave comments on YouTube. Leave them on the website. Anywhere you wish. Thank you.